Hi, I am Dev, and today we are going to see some basic Linux commands which will help you to work on the Linux machines. Unix is an OS that was originally created in 1969. Although it looks too old, but Unix still dominates the server machines. Linus Torvalds created the Linux kernel as a free software under the GNU General Public License in 1990s, which was free to use, study, modify and redistribute it. And because of this, today we see different flavors or say different distributions or distros of Linux. Few of the famous are Ubuntu, CentOS, Red Hat, even macOS are popular names in that Linux list. Although they have different names, but the basic command works same in all the flavors of Linux. And to learn command, all we need is a terminal. So depending on your OS, let's open the terminal and type our first command, which is man. Man stands for manual. Whenever we buy any new product, you might have received a manual with it, which helps us to understand the product in more better way. The same command works here as well. So if we type just man on the screen, it will ask what manual page do you want. So the syntax for man would be man space the command name. Now let's try the man who am I. Here is the manual. As the first line you can see the BSD General Commands Manual, where BSD stands for Berkeley Software Distribution. Next we can read as name, which says who am I, and the description says displays the effective user ID. And we have some other information. In order to close this page, we will press Q. Now let's run the command who am I directly onto our standard input. And here we see the output we got is username, which in my case is Maahedev. Now the place where we are typing in, that is called the standard input in Linux. And when any command returns something, that is called the standard output. So in our earlier example, who am I, which we have written command, that is the standard input which Linux terminal is taking. And after processing, it is giving us a standard output. If your terminal or output doesn't look exactly the same as my screen, don't worry, that may differ because of some packages. But you will get the actual output and the commands whatever we are typing in. Now let's try another command, which is pwd, which stands for print working directory. Unlike the GUI or GUI, which is the graphical user interface on Windows, Mac or Ubuntu, we can see the list of files or folders where we are in. But in this black screen of Ubuntu or Linux terminals, we need to type in pwd to know in which folder we are currently in. So here is the output, which says users Maahedev, which is my current directory. Next command we will see is clear. As the name suggests, it will clear the screen and cursor will be back at the top of the terminal. Now let's check ID command. For that, first we will check its manual by typing man space ID. So this is the manual. Under the name we can see ID returns user's identity. Under synopsis we can see what are the different flags or options which we can pass along with ID to get different options. Few of them read as ID-A, ID-F, ID-G and so on. The description gives more detail on what this command does. As written here, the ID utility displays the user and group names and numeric ID of calling process to standard output. Now in order to load the new page, we will press spacebar. As we can see in the next page, the options are displayed with the description. If you would like to know more about these options, make some time and read these details, which will help you to understand any command in more detailed way. As we are on the last page, we will now press Q to make exit, and now we are out of the manual. Now let's try the ID command with -u and option, which will give us the same output as our who am I ID. Here you see we got the same output, which is Maahedev. Next, let's try to know the group name. So I'll type ID minus capital G N, and here are the group which all this user belongs to. Now let's check the next command, which is ls and cd. ls stands for list files and cd for change directory. As again, this is a black terminal where we don't have any GUI to see where we stand or which folder to go on. ls command and cd command are used to list the files or folders and then to move into those folders. And let's type ls. This lists the file which are there in my current directory. Let's say if we want to go to movies folder, what I'll do is cd space movies, which means change directory to movies. Now just to validate that I am into movies, we will again hit the command pwd. The output of that will show that we are into users Maahedev movies, which is the absolute path where I am currently in. Let's clear the screen and type few more commands. Now, in order to move back to the old directory, we need to write cd space ... which will bring us one step back in our directory. And just to validate, if I again hit pwd, I'll get users Maahedev, in which I was there earlier. Now let's check the manual command for ls and what are the options it does provide. So here under name we can see it lists the directory contents. Synopsis lets us know all the options which are available which we can use with ls command. The description, and when we hit the space bar to read the next line, it gives in detail about all the options and what all these options are doing. When we hit ls-l, it gives us the long description. Now here you can see we get some other details as compared to the earlier only ls commands. We will go more in detail for the users and groups in later chapters. For now, let's keep it short and simple. If you observe the first character of each row, which stands for D, that shows that all the listing which we see here are type directory. Okay, now let's go on to some other options. When I do ls-l/bin, I'm not able to see the first files and it is showing me the last part of the file. In order to see page-wise details, we can use another command, which is the pipe symbol. So as you guys remember, when I said the standard input and standard output, whenever we type anything on standard input, we get the output on the screen. But we can also pass on the input from one command to another command in order to see other effects. Let's say for here, when we do ls-l/bin, I type a pipe symbol and pass on the output of this command into the less command. As you can see now, I can go from page to page and see what all details are there in this particular directory, which is ls-l. So like this, any standard input, if we wish to redirect the output to some other command, that also we can use in Linux. And this particular one example we see of the pipe symbol, we will see some other options as well. Let's move on to the next topic, which is files and directory. Linux system is actually known as a file system. All the things which are stored in Linux are stored as files. Now let's move on back to our terminal and try out these options in order to understand how the files and directories are working in Linux. Let's start with the first command, which is mkdir, which stands for make directory. I'm not going into the manual of this. I would encourage you all to go into the manual and hit man mkdir to see the details. Now let's create a new folder called codebase into my current directory. So what I'll do, I'll type a command mkdir space codebase. When I hit enter, I will not get any output, but codebase directory has been created. To validate that, we will use ls-l. So at the last you can see I have my directory called codebase. Let's cd into the codebase file and see what all files we have with ls command. As the output gave nothing, which means there are no files for now. Let's create our first file with the command touch. So command will be touch space file name, which is Maahedev. I'm not giving any extension in this place, but it's fine in Linux world. We don't need to have extensions. Now just to validate that our file is created, I'll type ls again and we'll see that Maahedev is listed, which means that we have successfully created our file Maahedev into the directory codebase. Now let's clear the screen and start again. So now I'll be trying to add the contents into this file. So there are various ways. First I'm using is echo command. Echo generally takes the any input and it gives the output as it is. To help you understand, here I'm typing echo, hi, I'm Dev. And when I hit enter, I get the output as hi, I'm Dev. Now I'll use the echo command in order to write our file. I'll show you two ways to write. First is echo and second we will use the editor. Now for echo, when I write echo, hi, I'm Dev, two angle brackets or greater than Maahedev, which is redirect sign in Linux, the output which is hi, I am Dev will be transferred to Maahedev file. To see that, let's use cat command. So I'll type cat space Maahedev. And here you see we got the output as hi, I am Maahedev, which means whatever standard input we have passed in via echo and we have redirected that with the redirected sign, the content is passed on to the file. And now when we cat, we can see that hi, I am Dev is already added. Now the another method to add any content into our file is by using the editor. Here I am using the default editor which is there in all the Linux distributions, which is VI editor. VI is a text editor which is the improved version of Vim, which is also the part of a text editor. For more details you can check the manual command as man vi or man vim. To use the VI editor, I will type vi space filename, which is Maahedev in my case, and you will see the screen. We will not go in more detail for VI, but I'll just try to explain the basics to use this editor. Now when I type vi space the name of the file, which is Maahedev, you will see the screen where the content which I have already added, hi, I am Dev, is already there, and in the bottom you can see Maahedev 1L 13C, which means 1 line and 13 characters. Now in order to write in this file, we need to press escape and then I, which will shift or convert the mode into insert mode. When we are into insert mode, you will see in the bottom left we have a word as insert, and then only we will be able to type or write anything in this file. So let me add some contents here. So I will help you learn LAMP stack and all the other technologies around them, and we will work on open source technologies. Just to add few details, I'm adding some text here. Then in order to store your file or in order to save your file, you need to again hit escape, insert mode is gone, and then I'll write :WQ, which stands for W as write and Q after writing quit. When I hit enter, this content will be stored in my file Maahedev, and again to verify it, I'll type cat and Maahedev. I press tab and I got the auto complete word for my file, and here you can see the details. Now if I wish to edit or append this file with echo command, what I can do is I can again type echo and the text, like I'll try to update you all with the tools to make great apps, websites, products, and again I use two redirect symbols and pass on to Maahedev. To redirect the file, you have to use one redirect sign, or if you want to append it, you have to use two redirect signs. Now just to have the contents from the file again, I'll type cat and Maahedev. So here you can see whatever contents I have written via terminal or via the VI editor, all those commands I can see into my file. So this way we have generated a file into Linux system, and this is how we are editing it or passing the data into it. Okay, let's clear again and try some other commands. Now if you see on my screen, if I press the up arrow, I will see all the old commands which I have used in my terminal. If I keep on pressing the up button, whatever past commands or old commands I have used, they all I'll be able to see. There's also another way to see all the commands which you have just worked on with the history command. So if I type history command, you can see the final output, the last output of my file, which looks like this, in which whatever commands we have run till now, all are visible there. The next command I would like to update you is whatis command. When you use whatis and the name of the command, it will help you understand what are the different options available for you and what that command is doing. In order to go further into those commands, you can use man and command name. Now in some commands, we also do get a help flag, which is represented as -- help. That is just like an argument or option which you are passing to any of the command. When you go into the man and the command name, you can see what is the way to get the help command for any command. So for this place, if you see H stands for print help message, and if I type man -h, I can see the same file commands or all the help commands which are available for that man command. In the same way, you guys can also check out what are all the options or with what way the help command can be invoked for any particular command. Man stands for manual, and in that you can also get the help to know the help commands. What next? Now if you want to know more about the commands which are available in your system, you can go and ls or list your files in the bin folder. As you remember, we have done that. For the pipe command, I have used the ls bin. You can use the same command. The names which you find into the bin command, all of them are the commands. You can type in man and see what all these commands are doing. If you would like to know some more other commands which are stored in the Linux machine, you can find it more at ls space user, which is usr/bin. You will get the output of all the files, and those files are again some commands which are pre-installed or which you have installed in your system. In order to learn those, you can do man and try any of those commands. Next helpful command may be man -k copy. We can use the man command if you're not sure what command you need to fire. For example, when you type man -k space copy, it will show you all the manuals in which the copy file is coming. You can also try man -k php, and it will give you the output of all the files with that word. This will help you to learn or find some commands which you are not aware or which you are not sure if that exists or not in your Linux terminal. Okay, so just to take a quick recap, what we learned today are these all commands which are used very commonly in all the Linux terminals. I hope I was able to help you understand and clear your doubts in understanding these commands, and I would encourage you to try these all commands in your terminal. Also, the new commands which I have showed into the ls bin directory or user bin directory, those commands also you can try with man command and see what the manual reads for them. This is all for now. I'll see you again next week. Till then, take care and enjoy.